welcome to another episode of Crush That Exam. My name is Dr. Erica Liggins, licensed clinical psychologist and exam coach. I am so excited to share yet another story of someone who has had a major triumph over the EPPP exam. So let's get into their story. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are?
Hello, hi Erica. My name is Fran Moore.
Beautiful. And what part of the country do you live in? Uh,
Sure.
what type of setting do you work in? Tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about your professional self.
Sure. I live in Brooklyn, New York, born and raised here. I'm a New Yorker. I currently work at New York University. I am a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Applied Psychology, and I'm also the program director for the Mental Health and Wellness Master's Program and the School Counseling Master's Programs for both residential and online.
Ooh, you're a busy lady, overseeing a lot of stuff. So tell us, like, what was your EPPP experience like prior to working with me?
Yeah. Well, I graduated in 2011. Um, and I took the exam right after I graduated, and I did not pass. So I failed by like 2 points. And after that, I was pretty frustrated. At that time, I was working in foster care. So I was not making a lot of money. So I didn't have a lot of resources to keep on taking the exam and keep on paying for test prep materials. So I kind of put it on the back burner. And then in 2018, I started working at NYU. And at that point, I was given a lot more resources to be able to take the exam. However, it still took me a couple of years, as we can see, to actually get into the groove of like, I'm going to take this exam because I think I um, had a lot of bad feelings about the EPPP and what had happened before. I had really tried hard, but I did not have a coach like you. I did not have like a consistent study plan to help me kind of work through it. So I think in January, it was January 2023. I started working with you. And so it's been about a year and a half that we've been together. And it's been it's been a great journey.
It has been a beautiful journey. And I want to, validate too that the experience that you had is what a lot of people experience when you're doing this by yourself without support in isolation and you do everything you know how to do with the resources that you have and it doesn't work out, it can be pretty devastating. And I've seen many people who have been really turned off from this whole licensure thing because of how much that initial failing of the exam really impacted them. And then when you combine that with being in low paying jobs and not having a lot of support and resources, I know for myself, I, was able to pass on the first try, but I remember being so afraid that if I don't pass, how will I afford to do this again? Because it took so much, even just to be able to take it that one time. So
Mhm.
I totally hear where you're coming from. And I think so many people out there are in the same position. So early 2023, you found your way to me. And just for point of reference, it's now mid 2024. So we did work together for a good amount of time. And I think it's important for people to know that because sometimes when people are going through this, and they're hitting roadblocks and having challenges along the way and it's taking longer than expected, it can feel really demoralizing for them because they automatically assume that other people are just whizzing through this process and that it's easy for them, and that's just not the reality for so many people. That's why I really love doing these interviews, because it really helps to like lift the curtain and show people what really went on behind the scenes. So once you started working with me, what would you say was the reason why you chose to go with me, maybe over someone else?
Yeah. Well, I'm on the Facebook group. Is it psychologists of color, women of color, right?
Yeah.
And someone posted about you in
Mm,
that Facebook group. And I was like, oh, I'm going to reach out to Erica because you're a Black woman, woman of color. I'm a woman of color. And I'm like, I want to work with somebody who I feel like is going to also kind of see me, my identities, and who I am, and I felt like you could speak to me, you could understand me, damn, you could relate to me. So that is why I reached out to you, and I think it was the best thing that I ever did. And I'm very grateful for your help. But I think that point, I was like, I want to make something different. I was ready to kind of embark on this journey that has been very difficult for me in so many ways. And as you know, I had many highs and many lows, and like I used all of my resources in order to get to where I am at today. I used therapy. I was in therapy. I even sought out a psychiatrist to get some meds. I got a diagnosis. I got accommodations for the exam. I did everything possible. I cleared my schedule. I studied so much that literally right now, I don't even know what to do with myself. Okay. I'm not even kidding when I say that. I'm like, aren't I supposed to be doing something right now? Why am I just sitting here? Because
Yeah.
that's how much I was studying. That's how much my schedule was wrapped around me studying for the last 18 months. And I had these ebbs and flows where I would do it really good for several months, and I was like, I would schedule the exam and then I would push it back and then I would schedule it again. It was very daunting to me, the whole experience. But I have to say, the last time I went in, for someone like me that has a high level of anxiety, um, and I think the medication helped. Meeting with you every week, the structure of our meetings really helped, and you being like, okay, Fran, like, you got this, like, you very real with me and straightforward is what I really needed. My therapist was very much the same way too. Um, and I think all of you really, like, all of my resources really helped me kind of get here, right? But the most important thing is I pushed myself. I know I had to push myself over that hump of getting out of my own way. I was my biggest barrier in this process, and for good reason, right? Like you were just talking about, because of all of the horrible, like, I'm going to say it was like trauma of this EPPP exam, but not just the EPPP exam for me, but I'm talking back to the SATs and the
Oh,
GREs and
all
like
of
every
it.
standardized test I've ever taken that I should have probably have had accommodations for in the past. So I think the fact that I finally was like, okay, I know I need extra help, and I know I need more than just like the regular amount of time that people kind of take to even study. Because I know people who are like, yes, I studied for 6 weeks and I passed, or I did it for 3 months and I passed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally not me. And it's okay. Everybody's journey is totally different. And this is my journey, right? And I said, like, I can't believe that I'm finally here, that I finally crossed over to the other side. And I'm still sitting here like,
Is this real?
is this real? Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. I tell you, thank you so much for your transparency, your vulnerability around being really open about getting accommodations, using therapy, using medication, because clinicians, sometimes we are the worst offenders of
Mhm,
not asking for help when we really need it. We
mhm,
dull it out to everybody else. We tell everyone else not to have stigma around using therapy and medication, but yet we will sit here and, in some cases, fail the exam over and over and over again and refuse to do the things that we need to do to help ourselves. So,
mhm,
thank you for normalizing, as a woman of color, that you utilize the support. Sometimes I'll hear people say things like, I don't want to give them the satisfaction of knowing I needed accommodations. It's like,
mhm. Yeah,
they don't care about you. They don't know your
right.
name. Like, nobody cares. Like, really. I know it feels, and of course all of that is coming from a lot of systemic stuff, and
Mhm,
there's reasons why people feel like that. And I don't want to, obviously invalidate people's feelings, because I understand where that is coming from, but it's
mhm,
also not helping you to stay there. Get
mhm.
what you need so you can get through this process and move on. And I'm so happy that you did. I feel like this was such a reparative experience from
It
all
was.
of those past standardized test experiences where you were pushing through, powering through, needing help, but not having it. And I think that's one of the things I love most about coaching is that we come in and we do it all different. We
Mhm,
turn the whole thing upside down and we do the exact opposite of everything that was done before. So you found the structure of our sessions, the
mhm,
frequent support, having a
mhm.
study plan, all of those
Yes.
things really were night and day from your previous experience when you were trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, I think the study plan is what really helped. And I think it was really hard for me in the beginning too. And I remember how much I struggled with it, right? With, the different methods. And then I had to I had to do other things, right? I had to go to workshops and I had to take notes and I took notes in so many different types of ways. I had all different types of notes. I had notes on my laptop, notes that I written down. And I was just like, whatever is going to help me. Like I was just trying different ways for me to like internalize the material and digest the material. And what I just realized that it just took me longer.
Mhm.
It took me longer, and that's okay. It just took me a little
Totally
longer
okay.
than maybe the average person. I don't know. I have no idea, but it just took me a little longer.
And it's all okay. Slow I'm telling you, slow and steady wins the race, and I am here for people because at the end of the day too, there's a personal transformation aspect that goes along with this whole process. And I always tell people we have to be ready for the things that we want. And I think in your journey in particular, as well as many of my coaching clients, while they are learning to overcome this test, they're learning to overcome themselves. And so, what was the hardest thing that you had to overcome within yourself during this journey?
I think that I deserve to pass, that I deserve to, get licensed. I think that I'm not even I hate the word imposter syndrome. I hate imposter syndrome, but I know where
It's a
imposter
real
syndrome comes
thing.
from,
Yeah.
because as a woman of color in academia, in predominantly white institutions, I've grown up in predominantly white institutions my whole life, going to prep school, colleges. I have my PsyD. So I know that I've experienced lots of racism and sexism that has contributed to the feelings that I
Do
have,
I
right?
belong here? Am I
Right. Do I
worthy of
belong
being
here?
here? That's real. Yeah.
Right, right. So I think all of that, I internalized it, and I kind of started to believe it. So I had to, I had to unlearn a lot of things in order to even get to this point, right? I had to work with you. I had to work in therapy. I had to, kind of like confront my demons, in a lot of ways and confront myself and also kind of like uplift myself and let myself know that you do deserve this. You do deserve to be here, you know? And I think one of the pinnacle conversations that we had, Erica, was like, what is the name of your practice going to be? When you were like, what's your practice going to be? What's it going to be like? Who do you want to work with? And I was like, oh my gosh, I have never even thought of it. I just thought like, yeah, you're just going to have this practice, like, right? So when you like posed that question to me, and I started to think about it and started thinking about the name and what I wanted it to look like, I think things also started to change for me at that point, right?
Mhm.
And the other thing that I think really helped me is because my self-confidence grew after doing all this work for so many months, right? Or a year and a half. This, when I went into this exam, I said to myself, you are passing.
Oh.
I walked in, that is the first thing I said to myself is,
Mm.
you are passing. You are
Yeah.
going to pass this and you're going to walk out of here. And I could feel the feeling of opening that little piece of paper and seeing that I passed. I knew it. And I kept telling myself that throughout the exam. And it took me about 6 hours to do it.
Mhm.
So I kept telling myself, I went on breaks, took breaks, and I kept just giving myself those positive affirmations that we talked about that helped me so much. I just kept on grounding myself. And those are the things that really did help me is I think I internalized your voice.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It's true.
Oh, I
It's
just
very helpful for me.
oh, what a beautiful journey this was. And again, to watch you growing in that confidence and getting to a place where you could finally see it for yourself
Mhm.
was magic, and you walking in there and seeing it and believing it, it was amazing. And I felt the shift you going in this last time. It was very clear that you were in a different place. And
Mhm.
and that's 80% of this thing. It's just having the belief in yourself, having the sense of worthiness within yourself that you even deserve to have it. And I
Mhm.
think women of color in particular can put on a really brave face at times, like, yeah, I'm strong and this and that. And the reality is, dealing with the impact of the world we live in and being a part of many minority groups, there's some internal stuff that has to be worked through.
Mhm.
and you did. And I'm excited for you because I know the future is bright, and who you are today, you're now going to be ready to take on any new and amazing things that you want to do. And you're going to just interact with it, I think, so much differently because of just where you are within yourself.
Mhm.
So what would you tell to someone who is considering coaching, but they're like, oh, I don't know, do I really need that? I think I
Yeah.
can figure this out myself. What would you say to someone who's like on the fence?
Yeah. I think if you're really on the fence about it, I'm like, I believe you have to invest in yourself, right? And part of it, I was able to invest in myself. So being able to see you weekly and have you as my coach really helped me stay the course, right? So I think that they need to consider who they are, right? And what their situation is. And, you know, how bad do they really want this? I mean that truly. Like, how bad do you really want it?
Yeah.
Because in order to get here, and I know I'm not alone because I've been in the study groups. I've met with the other, your other coaching clients who also, said amazing things about their experiences with you, but just us also being able to be a community, right?
Mhm.
And being part of that community, I think was also something that very much helped me. I knew that universality, right? I knew I wasn't alone in this journey. There was other people who were struggling just as bad as I was struggling, right? And being able to even have a 1 minute, 2 minute conversation or exchanging numbers with people was so helpful to my process, right? So I think that your structure, in terms of if the structure was good for me, is what I really needed in order to move forward. And what I think the thing that really, really, really was helpful was the accountability. I was accountable to you. I was just like,
Yeah.
sometimes more than myself, I was like, oh, I gotta do this. You know what I'm saying? I gotta do it. And sometimes
Yeah.
that's helpful, right? When you're
Yeah.
in like a
When you're
bad
trying
place,
to
like when you're
find it for yourself,
right.
first you got to lean on, well, let me
Yes.
just not let this person down.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to let you down, Erica. I was like, oh no, I don't want to let Erica down. But it helped me. It helped
Yeah.
me learn also how to be more accountable to myself. Because I'm like, then I was like, I don't want to let myself down.
Yeah. It
I don't
transferred.
want to let
It
myself down. It
transferred.
transferred. So I think that is the major thing, is thinking about, you know who you are, where you're at, what you need, and what that looks like for you and how you want it to play out.
Absolutely. So well said. Thank you. So you're free from this thing now. Oh my God.
It's so crazy.
So,
I know.
what's something you're looking forward to? What's one thing, both professional and personal, that you're excited about now that you're free from the EPPP?
Yeah. So personal, I started reading again for fun. I was like, I'm reading
Oh,
a book. And I'm like, this is such a delight. I forgot what it's like just to read and I went on vacation. I went to, um, I was on the beach. I was in the south of France, someplace that never thought I was going to be, but I was like, wow, this is amazing. This is beautiful. Like having more opportunities like that to travel and to do fun things and just do things for leisure and to relax. Those are the things that I'm looking forward to personally. Professionally, yes, I'm looking forward to like opening my own practice, doing, working with clients, doing consulting work, and building something that really represents who I am and where I'm at right now in this stage of my life. So I thank you for that and helping me get here. And it's been like, it's truly a gift. And I really appreciate you, Erica.
oh, I appreciate you as well. It was a fun ride. And I don't think it's over because now we got to start your private practice. So I'm sure we'll be having conversations around that too. So
Yes,
the
definitely.
party just continues, and now this is where the real fun starts. So I'm excited for that. So, Fran, I just wish you nothing but tons of joy, freedom, and prosperity.
Thanks, Erica.